Most gardeners are feeding their worm bins the fastest way to slow them down. That sounds backwards, but it's true. Tossing in raw fruit scraps straight from your kitchen is one of the biggest mistakes I see, even with experienced growers. You end up with sour, unstable conditions, slow worm reproduction, and in some cases entire sections of your bin going inactive. Instead of building a thriving system, you're creating stress. I didn't fully understand how inconsistent my worm systems were until I started measuring what was actually happening inside them. I use a 4-in-1 soil moisture meter that reads moisture, pH, temperature, and light levels. It helped me catch something most people miss. Those fruit scraps were creating sharp pH swings and uneven moisture pockets. I'll leave the exact one I use in the description if you want to check it out. It made it obvious why some sections of my bin were thriving while others were completely dead. Once I fixed that, everything changed. And it started with one simple shift: fermenting the scraps before feeding them. Raw scraps don't feed worms the way you think they do. There's this idea that worms will just break down anything organic you throw at them. Technically true, but not efficiently. When you add raw fruit scraps, especially things like banana peels, citrus or mango skins, they start decomposing unevenly. Sugars break down fast, creating acidic pockets. Moisture spikes in one area while the rest of the bin stays relatively dry. Worms don't like that. They avoid unstable zones, so instead of spreading out and multiplying, they cluster in the few areas that feel safe. That's why you can have a full bin, but very little actual activity. So, what changed when I stopped feeding scraps directly? Well, I ran a simple test. One bin got raw fruit scraps like usual, and the other got the same scraps, but pre-fermented. Same worms, same bedding, same conditions. Within about 2 weeks, the difference was obvious. The fermented bin had worms distributed evenly throughout. There were more cocoons, more juvenile worms, and a much faster breakdown of material. The raw scrap bin, on the other hand, had pockets of activity and large areas where worms barely touched the food. That's when I realized the problem wasn't the food, it was the form. Fermentation, you see, turns scraps into worm fuel instead of waste. When you ferment fruit scraps, you're, in a way, pre-breaking them down. Sugars are stabilized. Microbial activity increases. The material becomes softer, more uniform, and just a whole lot easier for worms to process. Instead of worms doing all the work from scratch, they step into an environment that's already active. And honestly, that changes everything. They feed faster, they reproduce more, they stay in the feeding zones instead of avoiding them. In practical terms, that means more castings, faster turnover, and a system that actually scales. Here's exactly how I ferment fruit scraps for worm bins. This isn't complicated, but the details really do matter if you want consistent results. I collect fruit scraps over a few days and chop them into smaller pieces. This increases surface area and speeds up fermentation. Then I add a carbohydrate source like brown sugar. Roughly 1 part sugar to 1 part scraps works well. The sugar pulls out moisture and kickstarts microbial activity. I pack everything into a container and seal it. It doesn't need to be airtight, but it should limit airflow. Then I leave it for about 5 to 7 days. You'll know it's ready when it smells slightly sour and fermented, not rotten. The texture softens, and the material becomes more uniform. At that point, it's ready for the worms. This is where most people mess up the feeding process. They overfeed. Even with fermented scraps, dumping large amounts into the bin at once can create problems. I've found that smaller, consistent feedings work far better. Spread the fermented material in thin layers across the bin instead of dumping it in one spot. This keeps conditions stable and allows worms to move freely. And this is where monitoring matters again. If moisture gets too high, you risk anaerobic conditions; too low, and activity slows down. Using a simple meter to check these levels takes the guesswork out completely. You know, Moisture control quietly determines your success. Worm bins are extremely sensitive to moisture balance. Raw scraps tend to create wet pockets that throw everything off. Fermented scraps are more stable, but, well, they still need to be managed. What I aim for is evenly moist bedding, not soggy and not dry. When moisture is consistent, worms spread out. When it's inconsistent, they cluster, and clustered worms don't reproduce efficiently. Honestly, this was one of the biggest shifts in my results. Once I stabilized moisture, reproduction rates increased without changing anything else. So what happens when your system finally balances out? You start seeing signs that, honestly, most gardeners never reach. Worms are present in every layer of the bin. Food disappears at a steady, predictable rate. Castings become finer, darker, and more uniform. And most importantly, you start seeing cocoons regularly. That's the real indicator of a healthy system. In one of my bins, after switching to fermented scraps and stabilizing conditions, the population didn't just grow, it multiplied quickly enough that I had to expand the system within a couple of months. That's the level of activity you're aiming for. Now, why does this work in raised beds, and not just worm bins? Well, this method isn't limited to bins. I've used fermented fruit scraps directly in raised beds as a feeding layer beneath mulch, and the results are similar. Worms are drawn into those zones, activity increases, and soil structure improves faster. The key is placement. You don't leave scraps exposed, you bury them slightly or cover them with mulch to maintain moisture and protect the system. When done right, it becomes a continuous feeding cycle. But here's the mistake that resets all your progress in consistency. A lot of gardeners try something like this once, see some results, then go back to old habits. But worm systems depend on steady inputs and stable conditions. If you switch between raw scraps and fermented scraps randomly, you lose that balance. In my systems, I stick to one approach and maintain it. That's what allows the population to grow instead of fluctuate. If you want to triple your worms, this is what actually matters. It's not about adding more worms. It's about creating conditions where worms want to stay, feed, and reproduce. Fermented scraps solve multiple problems at once. They stabilize pH, improve texture, and increase microbial activity. But they only work if the rest of your system supports them. That means consistent moisture, proper feeding frequency, and attention to conditions. Once those pieces are in place, growth becomes predictable. If you're serious about building high-performance worm systems and improving your soil at the same time, subscribe to the channel. And if you know someone throwing scraps into their bin and wondering why nothing's happening, share this with them. Because once you understand how to prepare and manage organic inputs, you stop wasting materials and start turning them into a system that actually grows with you.